Good afternoon, my friends. This is the Grim Flayer. Hope you're doing very well today, and our month of madness, as far as BGX modern decks are concerned, bringing you a serious deluge of content, a wide variety of variants, is continuing here today with Lurrus Jund, or Cat Jund as the case may be. It is a Jund deck. It is packing 2 copies of Lurrus of the Dream Den main deck. No companion mode today. Lurrus is just at the top end, along with some other 3 mana threats. So we kind of have a very interesting spread there, but there's a lot more to it than just the top end. Top to bottom, this deck is really a spicy meatball, if I say so myself. So thank you very much for being here, for watching. Thank you to Sal Malacola, who is a wonderful supporter, a long-standing Patreon, a generous and very cool dude. He actually also plays Jund on YouTube, just like me. And his channel is called Ironworks MTG. It is in the description below. It is great stuff. I encourage you to check it out, to subscribe, all the rest. But this is Sal's list, and he started off, with the concept of Lurrus Jund, and I believe initially the concept also included a small, but nevertheless present, Traverse the Ulvenwald package. But after a little feedback from myself and also from the broader community in my Discord, and shout out as always to everybody who helps tinker with the list and gives their feedback on a list that eventually will be played. Love you guys so much. So after that feedback, Sal went ahead and scrapped the Traverse idea and still ended up with some really spicy stuff. So we're only on 21 lands. This was actually something that I suggested. We had a really great result on 22 lands with Lurrus Rock, but I believe that Rock benefits more from the excess lands and has more ways to potentially mitigate that flood. If you're simply not drawing enough spells, like Jund might have more X for ones, but if you don't draw them, the flood gets worse and worse and worse. Rock has more mana sinks. Rock can facilitate the inclusion of more utility lands. With Jund, we kind of need our lands to be just vehicles to cast our spells more so than with Rock. Therefore, we can maybe afford a little bit of a lower land count because the higher land count progressions don't behoove us as much, and also because we do play 2 copies of Wrenn and Six, of course, to help us curve out at least some of the time. So 21 lands, pretty stock land base within the context of 21 land Jund. Mishra's Bauble ×4 is a given when we have Lurrus as a major component of our game plan. 1 copy of Cling to Dust, which I really love. 2 copies of Fatal Push. 4 Inquisition, 2 Thoughtseize. We're continuing to respect red deck wins with that split. And from here, things get a little bit more interesting. We only play 1 Lightning Bolt. We've got the full 3. I shouldn't say the full 3. We could technically play 4, but we've got 3 Seals of Fire, which of course are very oppressive. It's kind of like build your own Punishing Fire combo in Modern. Of course, this is something you buy back with Lurrus and just make the opponent's small creatures wish they'd never been born. 1 copy of Nihil Spellbomb. So between the Spellbomb and the Seals, we've got a lot of really good proactive things that are well positioned in the meta and also have high floors. And the presence of Lurrus makes them have extraordinarily high ceilings as well. And then in the 2-drop slot, things get even spicier with 2 copies of Whispers of Emrakul. Now, this is something that Sal really did kind of set out with a desire to include. At the same time, I think it is fair to say that Sal is probably more skeptical of these 2 slots that are Whispers than of any other slots in the 75. I think that's not mischaracterizing, what he would say about it. So obviously the ceiling of this card is really high. It's kind of Modern's closest thing in some ways anyway to Hymn to Turok, which of course we would snap off in a Jund deck. We would definitely want to play that, and probably any BGX variant until further notice. Despite the existence of Veil of Summer, it'd still be too good otherwise. Whispers of Emrakul is nowhere near as powerful, but hey, if we can get our graveyard filled early on, Whispers can punish a stumbling opponent with a Hymn-like effect, or the opponent doesn't even have to be stumbling if we do just disrupt them naturally with like a turn 1 Inquisition, and then maybe line up Whispers on turn 3, turn 4, even turn 5 against big mana combo control decks. Again, if we've disrupted a little bit, we have time to set up Delirium and hit him with a big Whispers and get just another 2-for-1 in a deck that's otherwise filled with them. So I've never played this card before. We'll see how it goes. For Tarmogoyf, obviously, we've got 2 copies of Kroxa, which obviously is just a great Jund card in general, and in conjunction with the Whispers, with the traditional 6 discard, and with still 2 copies of Liliana, despite Lurrus, we do have, again, a diverse top end. We're not only playing things that can be bought back by Lurrus, we have a whole host of ways to really pressure the opponent's hands. We are a little... I shouldn't even say that. I was going to say we're a little light on removal, but that's actually not true. I just didn't see Assassin's Trophy and kind of reflexively said that, but the truth is we are a little light on Assassin's Trophy, but beyond that, we've not only got all the 1-drop stuff, but we've got 2 Decays, a Pulse, and 2 copies of Kolaghan's Command. Speaking of 2-ofs, 2 Seasoned Pyromancer does round out the main deck here, and he is just another diverse... part of the diverse top end where we can attack the opponent and grind them out from a variety of angles. Some of them, Spyro, Kroxa, Lurrus, are all a little bit soft to graveyard hate, but we have ways to take care of that, and we have ways to win through it anyway. Moving on to the sideboard, we have 3 copies of Pillage, so we are about as well prepared as you can really justify yourself being right now for big mana and other things where we want to blow up lands and maybe have a modal spell that's a bad shatter. We also have a copy of Boil, really nice. I don't like leaving home without one in Jund. Just a great way to punish the greedy blue decks that are greedy with their clock, right? If nothing else, we can say they're greedy with our free time by making us play games that last forever. Klothys is good against those decks. Klothys can also come in mid-range mirrors against anything aggressive, too. It's just a very, very playable card. We have 1 copy of Engineered Explosives. I really like this. This is a card that I loved even when I was a rock-only player before Lurrus was even anywhere near existence. So Engineered Explosives is better in this shell in 2 different ways. Number 1, you can set it on 3 very easily, making it have a wider variety of ranges that it can impact the board on, and also, of course, it can be bought back with Lurrus. Very cool. 2 copies of Brutality seems relatively necessary, something in that role anyway, for the burn hate, and adjacent decks also suffer at the hands of Brutality, we hope. 2 copies of Plague Engineer, again, you can't go wrong there. 2 more Nihil Spellbombs, including the main deck one, total of 3. I think that's very, very good right now alongside Lurrus. 2 copies of Ashiok Dreamrender, just a very unique effect, a very powerful card, one that does a lot of things that we need it to do as mid-range players, and 1 copy of the hated Veil of Summer. So, Sal, your list is awesome, my friend. Let's give it a shot, and we find an opponent instantaneously. I don't know if that's a good or a bad thing, but we're getting right into it. Thank you again, Sal, for so much for your support. I do appreciate that, my friend. And thank you as well to our newest Patreon supporter, Tirelist here, very generous, from Connor Smith. So, Connor, you're the man. Already enjoying Connor's contribution on the Discord as well. So thank you for watching. Thanks to all Patreon supporters, especially Sal and Connor. And let's play. We've got a heck of a keep. Very disruptive. Definitely not getting rid of this one anytime soon in a blind game 1. But the opponent is on Lurrus of the Dream Den. So we will need to fight through attrition somehow, but we're going to begin by bobbling them, and they're about to draw Thoughtseize. That's a little rough because our hand is so good, but we're going to fire off our Inquisition here. Okay, so we are against Rakdos Prowess, a very powerful deck. Remember, they are about to draw Thoughtseize. So, I think we have to take a threat because they're probably going to, if they don't run out Soulscar Mage, they're going to discard us, and we're going to lose our Abrupt Decay. So one play here would be to take Abbot of Carol Keep, which is actually really interesting, because that gives them a tension between... yeah, let's take the Abbot, because it's the best late-game card they have, besides Light Up the Stage, which is admittedly pretty good. But now, like, if they run out the Soul Scar, we just decay it. If they discard us, well, maybe we can Thoughtseize the Soulscar Mage, or maybe we can take their other 2 for 1. I don't know. Either way, I'm going to take Abbot, but their hand's actually really, really scary, and we've drawn a Lurrus of our own. Okay, that's pretty good. That's going to give them some more things to think about, to worry about. We obviously need to draw a third land, and it has to be black to threaten the Lurrus Bauble play on curve. Okay, OP will fetch, we'll run out Soulscar, and we have drawn the land. So, we're probably just supposed to play the forest and pass, holding up Decay. It's irresponsible to let this thing live, and yeah, like, they have so many good discard targets, and no matter how we sequence here, their discard will still hurt us. So, ooh, they have a Bauble. Okay, I see. Bauble into Inquisition. Alright, this will draw out our Decay, and then opponent gets to just kind of do whatever here. The one good thing about this is that they won't get to cast Light Up the Stage this turn. And if they haven't drawn a black land, which they haven't, we actually know their whole hand, then they also cannot double discard us. So they're priced into taking the Lurrus. And then maybe on our upkeep, we'll see them Bauble us. Indeed. So they know about our Kroxa. Well, that's a good draw. It's a good draw. I think I'd rather Thoughtseize, though, and then hold up the Cling, rather than tap out for Kroxa. Gotta take their light up here. So basic forest is a little bit rough alongside Kroxa, just because we need to hit 2 more lands before we can entertain thoughts of escaping him. Okay, I am going to Cling in response to the Thoughtseize for sure. And I guess Bauble's the responsible thing to hit. Hopefully we just draw a land off of this. It's going to feel bad if we... Yeah, we hit a land. Beautiful. So they Thoughtseize away our Kroxa. We are now drawing very, very live, including this draw of Thoughtseize that we just ripped. Very nice. Gonna use it. They can obviously bolt us in response, but it looks like they've gonna have another couple things stuck in hand. They've got Cling to Dust of their own alongside Fatal Push. I guess we take the Cling here. It represents something we care about in a couple different ways. And again, we're drawing pretty live because almost any land here is going to allow us to escape Kroxa next turn. And if we're not drawing lands, we're drawing action. Opponent, however, is drawing action as well. They've got a Swifty, but instead of pushing more damage through, they're going to hang on to the Bolt, as well as hold up Fatal Push. You know, maybe I shouldn't have fetched here, actually. But I guess we can afford to get another Blood Crypt. That way we have double black and double red. We just need to draw one or the other. Yeah, we don't really need a second green for anything that I can see. It's times like this, though, I do wish I had a companion to just bring in for that guaranteed card advantage. But who needs that when you just rip Spyro off the top? Seems pretty good. Seems pretty good. Ooh, kind of punished for tapping that green, although I think it was correct, because now we can't play Tarmogoyf. Nevertheless, we'll run out that second swamp, and nevertheless, Tarmogoyf a great draw. Going to end step Bolt the Spyro. I mean, I kind of get it. It's kind of an optimistic play in that they assume they're going to draw something proactive to do against our empty board. You know, if they draw, like, Light Up the Stage or something, that'll be amazing. They draw Soulscar Mage. Okay, so they are rewarded. We've drawn Mountain, huh? I guess that's pretty good. Okay, so in their graveyard they have creature, sorcery, instant, land, so we can kind of get rid of most of that stuff with impunity. Let's start with instants and sorceries, which kind of don't really serve any purpose for us. We'll leave the diverse types in there for this Goyf we're about to play. So with Kroxa's abilities on the stack, they're going to push him. And then they're going to take 3, and it's going to be card advantage for us. And then the opponent will be empty-handed against our Tarmogoyf. And we'll also be able to escape Kroxa again next turn if we want to. So opponent in total top deck mode. They rip the 3rd land. It's going to allow them to put Lurrus in hand, but again, we can get, I guess, get her out of there with Kroxa. They can't cast Cling yet. We got to remember each of us has a Cling in the graveyard. And they're not going to do it. So we kind of spook them into keeping Lurrus on the bench, which is awesome. And we draw Nihil Spellbomb, which is really good. We're probably supposed to use it before, like, Lurrus or their Cling get online. So if we go Spellbomb off of green, cantrip with black, we can then escape Kroxa's second main. It's probably the thing to do. It's gonna shrink the Goyf, but like it just seems so good on so many levels, including just getting another card that I think we're supposed to. Okay, well, we've drawn Lightning Bolt. That's really good too, not gonna lie. I do think we are supposed to just Bolt Soulscar Mage here. Start smushing him with the Goyf. Okay, you know, OP ripping another Swifty is actually a little scary, but... the attack with both, huh? It does make some sense. What can we draw here? Whispers of Emrakul seems pretty bad. Yeah, let's just bash for 4, then escape Kroxa. Put them to 1. Or does this kill them? If we put a sorcery in the yard, because we have instant creature land artifact? Wow. Okay, never mind. I guess Whispers of Emrakul is the kill spell. Alright, pretty cool game one against Prowess here. We saw the real power of the attrition. Specifically, Kroxa was awesome here. Not only as a finisher, but as a way to grind through their interaction and to stop them from being able to put Lurrus into their hand, where against almost any other card they just would have done that and we would have had to deal with that. So, pretty cool. All these cards seem really usable. I don't know if we're supposed to play Veil of Summer against Rakdos Prowess. It's possible. Brutality seems decent too. We've got potentially a lot to do. You could also make cases for Plague Engineer and maybe even an Ashiok, but I find it really unlikely that we'll be using those cards given our configuration main deck, and we're already trying to bring 7 in. Sideboarding here is very, very interesting. I think our weakest cards are Whispers and Wrenn and Six. Like, you could find justifications for one of each, but I'm probably just gonna cut both. I'm thinking, like, leaving in Thoughtseizes is okay here, but we're kind of running out of slots. And if we're gonna play Veil of Summer, maybe it's better to try to veil their interaction than to use interaction of our own that's painful and also a bad top deck. So I could see cutting 2 Thoughtseizes, maybe a K command, just because it's a little slow on the draw. Everything else looks really good. I do think playing 3 Spellbomb is fine, but it's possible we could play only 2 as well. They can get clunky if you draw too many at the same time. Nevertheless, I think I'm going to err on the side of a lower curve and a painless progression and do something like that. Yeah, it looks really good to me. As always, guys, you can let me know what you think about sideboarding like that. You can also let me know what you think about the list. I did not play a single warm-up game today, before the video, or at any other time with this list, so I am kind of going in blind, just in terms of, like, getting a feel for it. But speaking of getting a feel for it, what do we think of this hand? I think it's got enough cantrips and redraws and a super high ceiling that even though it's a one-lander, I think we're supposed to keep it. The opponent's mulling, I will keep. And we're also on the draw, making it that much more unlikely that we end up land screwed here. Alright, I'm just going to shock in, play the Seal of Fire, play the Bauble, say go. I'll Bauble them on their upkeep if they fetch. If not, I'll probably do it on their unstep. Alright, OP is about to draw Soulscar Mage. They do have a second land. They do run out the SSM. It'd be nice to know what's going to happen here with our top deck. I think I'm probably supposed to fire off the seal right now. It's kind of like good if it works, probably okay if it doesn't. I don't really see us having good windows to, like, respond to whatever they're doing, so I'm just going to do it now. But this is, of course, risky in a way that Lightning Bolt is not. So the floor of Seal of Fire is definitely lower than good old Bolt in a couple different ways. Yeah, an opponent with a Cling to Dust. That's a really good way to protect Soulscar Mage. You know, if they had to fire off like a burn spell at our face or something, I think that would have been good. That's not as good for us at all. But it's one of the things they could have had. And we do have the Overgrown Tomb anyway. So, that's awesome. I just kind of wish it was a fetch land so we could not have to shock it in and bluff Veil of Summer. But we're definitely going to shock it in. We're definitely going to seal. Again, just kill the Soulscar Mage. And I think I'm playing Nihil Spellbomb. I'm not really going to hold up Veil of Summer when I don't have any creatures to protect with it. They could obviously have discard, but they haven't had it so far. Happy to have drawn a second land and that it's green, for sure. Opponent's third land opens up more possibilities here, some of which are kind of bad for us. Kolaghan's Command is one of them that wouldn't be ideal, but they were on the play and they mulliganed to 6, so, the notion of them having some kind of a high-impact 3-drop that we need to play around I don't think was correct without any hand information. OP tanking here. Oh, they just put Lurrus into hand? Interesting. Interesting. Okay. We've got Cling to Dust, which is a great one to hold up. We're probably just supposed to say go here, hold up Veil of Summer, Nihil Spellbomb, Cling to Dust, Abrupt Decay. I just wish we weren't missing a land drop to do so, but I think it's correct here. Opponent really thinking these last couple turns through. I am still relatively suspicious for Kolaghan's Command. Okay, so Cling to Dust targets a card in a graveyard. Veil of Summer does not protect it, so we're just going to allow this to resolve. Opponent seems like they're kind of like, they probably have a decent handful of action, but they're kind of fishing for something that makes sense to lead on. Maybe a discard spell, which would of course play into our hands pretty nicely, right? So it looks like they're passing. I think I'm actually just going to fire off Spellbomb here. Or maybe it should be a Cling. Let's go with a Spellbomb. Getting their Cling out of there is pretty good. There's a lot of good targets in there. Still no third land, which is becoming an issue. Let's see if we can draw it for a turn. Still nothing. Drawing both Spyros. Yeah, feels pretty bad. Feels pretty bad, but our hand is just so awesome that I still feel we're in a good position. We just can't, miss it again, right? Opponent hard casting a light up the stage, you got it. Finding 2 lands, well, that's pretty good for them with the shape this game is taking, especially because one of them is a Sunbaked Canyon. Alright, at this point we just unfortunately kind of have to Cling the light up to draw a card. Is that even right? Now, I think I'm going to untap. Cling is too important because we know the Lurrus is in their hand. And we are rewarded, kind of, because we draw Nihil Spellbomb. Still missing the land for far too long, though, but we don't really have, I think, the incentives to cantrip any more heavily than we have done. Really weird game, but our hand is so stacked. See if it's good enough. I mean, at this point, opponent's probably pretty suspicious for Veil of Summer, but, yeah, maybe not. At this point, it might be worth them testing the waters anyway. They're going to Kroxa. Sure, that's not very bad for us at all for a variety of reasons. I'm just going to pitch one of these Spyros. KOP playing the Sunbaked Canyon from Exile. Once again, I think it's a fine enough time to Spellbomb that I'm just going to do it. I want to conceal information with the Cling. Okay, still no third land off the Spellbomb draw. Okay, it's getting a little ridiculous. Let's just untap and draw it, please. Oh my god. Oh no, it's a Tarmogoyf? It's a Tarmogoyf. Good card. Our hand's full of good cards, but how many times can we miss the third land? Alright, well, I'm going to run out EE on 1. Which is a fine thing to have hanging around, but also not anything we need. And it's going to allow us to keep holding up Cling to Dust, keep holding up Veil of Summer, not have to discard to hand size. It's just a little insane. Like, if we had drawn a third land at any point over the last 9 draws, however many we've had this game, we would be in all kinds of good shape. Opponent running out of Swifty into the EE and then attacking. Yep, I got nothing. Light up. Yeah, it feels bad. Opponent able to, like, grind really well right now. Man. Nihil Spellbomb, Abbot of Carol Keep, huh? Okay, they're going for the Abbot. Finding Mountain. Very rewarded for that. And they do run out Spellbomb. Okay. I mean, at this point, yeah. Oh my god, still nothing. Still nothing. Yeah. Okay, time to go shields down with Veil, certainly. I kind of want to just, like, decay the Abbot. I think that's the play. We don't want to discard to hand size. We get to leave EE around. But, like, if we drop this game, it's going to be because of the failure to hit a land. I could have clinged on the end step there. You know, there comes a point where you just assume you're going to finally draw the land. Cantripping it suboptimal times hasn't really worked thus far for us, right? So why would it work then? I just had faith, but faith not rewarded. If opponent has like a discard spell for us after all of this, I'm going to get a little bit Gonna feel a little bit of disappointment. Okay, there's the Lurrus. Well, we knew it was coming. They're gonna get value off of it, but... Wow. And these abbots have been perfect for them. Okay, this is a way we could really lose this game, but, you know, if we draw the third land soon, we can still definitely catch back up. Like, the idea will be to deal with Lurrus and then, like, be able to protect Tarmogoyf with the Veil of Summer, stuff like that. But we're taking a sizable chunk of damage here from Swifty. Opponent's well diversified against EE. OP shuffling before the Bauble draw. We draw Inquisition, really? Really? Still? No. Third land. Okay, well, I have to assume that we're going to die now this turn. They have 5 cards in hand. A board that we cannot answer. But we just have to take the Lurrus because otherwise, you know, it represents good damage in its own right. And otherwise they get to loop Seal of Fire, which represents a ton of damage between the Prowess hits and the repeated shocks. Okay, opponent leading on Abbot of Carol Keep into Blackcleave Cliffs, so there is an outside chance that they don't have lethal. They just be sitting on like a bunch of removal spells. If they don't, though, right? Kroxa. Sure. I'm going to pitch another Spyro here, I believe. Kroxa is scary, though. If they don't have much else, maybe we have to begin by clinging Kroxa, because we'll not beat him if he escapes. Angrath's Rampage to sacrifice an artifact. You don't see that every day with an EE on 1 unable to be cracked. Yeah, so opponent doesn't have lethal, but they still had an amazing turn. I don't think we can come back from this. What are we going to draw? There's the third land. Far too little, far too late, I suppose, but what is our highest upside play? I guess it would be to cling the Kroxa, then play a Goyf and hope they don't have removal. All right. Preparing for Fatal Push into Swing for Lethal. Really disappointing. I mean, there's nothing you can do, and it takes you 10 turns, despite a million cantrips, to draw the third land. Okay. I feel obligated to block a 2-1 here. Soul Scar Mage is technically a higher value permanent for them, but we just have to try not to die this turn, and every point of life could matter. OP's got a Lightning Bolt, though, so they got us. Not unexpected. Just a shame. Just a shame. All right. Our every card we drew was, like, good, so I still feel pretty fine about this. We just have to not have that happen to us a second time, basically. And is there anything we'd like to change, having seen, I guess, pretty much expected stuff out of the opponent? We're probably not really changing anything here. Like, again, that K command's playable, probably more playable on the play. But you saw how, like, necessary and good our cantripping Grave Hate cards are, so I don't really want to cut the third Spellbomb for it. I don't think cutting anything else for it makes a ton of sense. I think 1k command's just fine. All right, let's see what we can do here in game 3. I mean, it is a keep. But it's a little low on beef. You know, we don't have a threat, we don't have any X for ones, it's just like a reasonable-ish keep. Our lands are also awkward simply for the fact that we cannot run out a way to bluff Veil of Summer. So I'm going to try to put the opponent off the Veil of Summer scent. I'm just going to play Overgrown Tomb tapped, having led on a Bauble. Upkeep, Bauble them. They're about to draw a Cling, sure. The Cling to Dust Mirror, that's really what this is. It's not a Fatal Push Mirror, it's not a Thoughtseize Mirror, it's not even a Lurrus Bauble Mirror. It's a Cling to Dust Mirror. I do really enjoy BGX versus Prowess gameplay. I hope we have agency in this game that we didn't last game, right? Okay, OP on Soulscar Mage, Shua. Soulscar into Mishra's Bauble, you got it? A Spellbomb in a land, huh? Well, it's going to give us pretty free reign to decay the Soulscar, I guess. Which we will indeed proceed to do. We just have to assume that, like, we don't fail to draw removal for the rest of the game. Like, removing their threats more or less on sight is pretty correct. Especially because that could have turned on Light Up the Stage in this particular case. OP, see, last game if they had discard, we get to blow them out. This game, we are already flooded pretty bad and don't have any X for one, so their discard comes at a really bad time. But our Klothys off the top, admittedly, comes at the exact perfect time. So that's pretty good. Let's play her. Should be pretty tough for the opponent to deal with. As long as they don't go completely nuts from here. Swifty. Just attacking. No effects, maybe second main light up. Yep. Into a third land and a Swifty. I mean, that's all really good. It's all really good. We've drawn Mishra's Bauble, huh? Okay. So we should hit either their Cling or their Bauble. I think I'm going to hit their Cling. And then I think I'm just going to immediately play and crack Peatland. Looking for something proactive to do, but the flood is real, my friends. The flood is real. Upkeep, Bauble the opponent. They're about to draw Nihil Spellbomb. They're about to play Nihil Spellbomb. You got it. Klothys, you gotta carry us here, Klothys. You gotta carry us here. Okay, we take a hit for 4. Another light up, oh boy. Okay, so opponent is going a little nuts over there. Into Cling to Dust, Abbot of Carolkeep. So their Cling can compete with our Klothys trigger and with our Cling. So I guess we're supposed to untap and kind of put our Klothys trigger on the stack first. Okay, we've drawn Lightning Bolt and Inquisition. These are some pretty good finds. Alright, so let's go after their Bauble. Okay, they're going to Cling their own Bauble, so we're going to beat their Cling with our Cling. Which I believe to be correct here. And then we're also going to bolt one of these Swifties just because it's good practice before the Prowess triggers resolve. Unfortunately, we've hit another land off of that Cling draw. But let's hope the Inquisition nabs something useful. They have Angrath's Rampage, Kroxa, and Lightning Bolt. Some kind of scary stuff. Some really scary stuff, actually. Specifically the Kroxa, but again, taking Kroxa away doesn't really do much for us. So we have all these lands that are relatively free pitches. I also don't want to put it in the graveyard in case they draw a land next turn. I think we're just going to take the Bolt. Rely on Klothys as much as we can to get us over the line. But we've flooded a really sad amount this game. OP spinning the wheel with Abbot. Rewarded with Bloodstained Mire. You know, there's lots of draws off these Abbots that will not reward them, but they are in fact being quite rewarded. And now they have a pretty decent window for Kroxa. Alternatively, they can just, you know, hold up Spellbomb or whatever. Alright, now we really need to draw well. Otherwise, it's our flashback Cling and our Klothys against the world. Which admittedly are a couple of pretty good things to have. We've drawn Collective Brutality. Nice. Okay. Nice. Okay. So I kind of want to Cling their Cling and hang on to the Brutality to beat Lurrus with. There's definitely an argument for just using Brutality, though, but before they get to untap... Oh, wow, and we draw EE. Yeah, I think I play that. Just run that out on 1. Ooh. No, sorry, that was bad. Because they have Angrath's Rampage for that, and I don't want to walk into that. Okay, that was bad. So I'm gonna make it less bad by just not playing it. But obviously we should have then held that fetch land for brutality fuel. And also just to not like show the opponent that we're shields down and that we just cost ourselves a life for no reason. You get it. You get why that was bad. But I only realized it as I was doing it. I am pretty low on the clock. It's been a really long round 1. OP probably drew that Spellbomb for turn because they fired that first one off really freely. Okay, I hope we don't come to regret not brutalitying. And we kind of do because they have a lightning bolt, so that's pretty rough. But we do still have the ability to do some good stuff here. Okay. Let's just take away a haste threat. They're going to cling. Oh, another freaking cling. Oof. That's bad. That's really bad. Okay, but we can still brutality. Pitching Mountain to kill Abbott, and then play and crack EE on Swifty and on Spellbomb. I guess that's got to be correct. So do we want to take away their Rampage or drain them? I think we kind of have to drain them. If only I had held that fetch land, we could do all 3. -2/-2. It's just such a judgment call. It's such a crapshoot. Maybe we're going to take the spell out of their hand. Feels so bad to not gain the life, but, you know, this makes so many of our draws worse if we leave them with the Angrath's Rampage in hand. Alright, still a really good turn for us. Again, if I had held that fetch land, you know, our top decks would be different, but assuming our top decks were the same, then we could also have the life totals a little bit closer, right? Nevertheless, I think our position's actually okay. What did opponent draw here? They're putting Lurrus in hand. They drew a land. Okay. We draw another Spyro right off the top. Love to see it. All right, let's eat haste threats, I think, at this stage of the game. Another Spyro in our hour of need. Very, very nice. We drew a Lurrus of our own and a Spellbomb. Wow. Yup, seems good. Seems really good. Okay, so we're going to be pressed into spellbombing with Lurrus on the stack here. Could make things a little awkward with, you know, there's a lot of demands on the graveyards that we want to capitalize on with our own Lurrus and the Klothys. But OP with a Kroxa, okay. We're going to pitch this Inquisition, and that Kroxa actually conveniently refills the graveyards pretty nicely for us. And we're going to eat the Kroxa here. And we have drawn Liliana, which I guess is better than playing our own Lurrus, just because killing their Lurrus is so good. Oh man, this is really intense. Get in there, Spyro. Okay. Oof. OP cantripping, finding another land, finding another Spellbomb. Immediately cracking it, which does punish us for not playing our own Lurrus, but it was definitely correct. And that's the game. Wow. Super intense. Sorry I took a little longer on the clock maybe than was necessary, but that was about as cool as Magic gets in many ways. Again, always love BGX versus Prowess. We had a frustrating game too, but we saw the real power of our configuration, especially post-side here in Game 3. Alright, my friends, we are here for round 2 with the most awkward lands ever. But I do think this is probably still a keep, because almost any spell in our deck is castable off of red-black, especially 3 red-black. Liliana is our failsafe if we somehow don't draw much else, and we can cast Lurrus too if we draw Bauble. Also, it makes any draw of a green land, and these are the only 3 Blackcleave Cliffs in our deck, pretty good. So I'm going to keep it, and actually part of my keep might be based on something arbitrary, but opponent's name is Scry2Games. Now, I'm not familiar with them, but that sounds like a control player to me, right? They're scrying 2, they're casting Serum Visions. So, hey, if we draw Greenland, what a great anti-control plan it is to go turn 2 Wrenn, turn 3 Liliana. But Foothills into Blood Crypt, into Skirk Prospector, not a control card. I guess we are against Goblins, and look at that. Inquisition right off the top. A good draw. We have to assume the opponent having mulliganed. Grumgully the Generous. Okay, I know this is a combo piece. I don't exactly know how it works. Conspicuous Snoop, we don't have any kill spells right now. It's also a combo piece, and it is a value piece. So I think we're just going to take the Snoop and plan to beat Grumgully before we find out exactly what it combos with and how that works. Each other non-human creature you control enters the battlefield with a +1/+. Okay. Okay. Kolaghan's Command. Could be good. Not good right now. Okay, there's their mountain. Grumgully. All right. Still no Greenland is pretty rough. Obviously, pinging the Prospector would have been good there, and now we draw it, but should we now be doing something else? Like, should we fire off a K command to ping the Prospector and make them discard a card? Or should we still play the Wrenn and Six a turn behind schedule, ping the Prospector? You know, it's possible they have like a 4th land and a Ringleader or something in hand. That makes me kind of want a K command. This is obviously less than ideal, to say the least, but in theory we could strand cards in hand this way, or at least we are technically getting a 2-for-1 no matter what. The hope, of course, is that we can just Edict Grumgully next turn with Liliana. Odds of that might be a little low, but hey, we get a Snoop out of their hand. Cavern of Souls. Okay. Goblin Ringleader indeed. So our read was actually right. They kept either the 4th land for Ringleader. More likely, I guess they kept the Ringleader and then just ripped the 4th land. So that kind of sucks. Tarmogoyf kind of good, though. Just at stopping the beats. But they've refilled the hand really well. Murderous Redcap. Aha. That seems to be the combo. They've got another Grumgully and a Sling Gang Lieutenant. Okay, well, I guess seems like we're going to lose here, but let's just play a Goyf to wall off the beats and see what they do. I suppose there's nothing... I guess there's nothing different we could have done. They had the Prospector down before we could play an Inquisition. We, therefore, were unable to answer it, and its presence made us unable to Edict Grumgully. Okay, so Murderous Redcap, Grumgully. Pinging us for 3. Another Tarmogoyf. Okay, so with the Sling Gang sacrifice effect, it's not looking very good for us at all. They're well insulated from the +1 and the -1, so there's not really any play to make here besides Liliana Edict them. Try to stay alive, but again, I think we're just kind of dead. A little unfortunate, to say the least, but the one thing... So I was just talking about how we couldn't really do anything. The one thing that we could have done is mulliganed. I can definitely accept that. We got punished for the keep by not drawing the early kill spells that reward us having triple Blackcleave Cliffs, and also by not drawing the green land with our first 2 draw steps, because again, turn 2 Wrenn, ping the the Prospector, sets us up for the turn 3 Edict, which admittedly still leaves us behind the 8 ball against Prospector. But okay, pretty cool combo from the opponent. I guess they probably have both Goblin combos kind of baked into the cake here. I guess our incentives aren't really significantly different no matter what they do or do not have, right? I actually haven't played against Goblins much. This might be my first time facing them in a league. I know that sounds strange, but remember, I don't play as much as many other people do. And also, I always tend to have, like, one deck. At any given time, there's, like, one meta deck and one deck that got really popular for a while that I just never play against. Right now, that is Goblins. I don't think I've played them in a league before. I've maybe played them in the lobby once. That's probably about it. In the past, you know, when came out, the new pod Vannifar, when Vannifar combo came out, a lot of people are talking about it, it saw a lot of play. I faded the deck forever, right? So, just kind of how things tend to go. Plagueman, EE seem great. You could make an argument for a lot of these cards, but I do think we're going to play the type of game with our main deck that's pretty nice inherently. Once again, we're probably just cutting Whispers. It's okay at combating their top end of, like, 4th land drop into Ringleader like they did to us last time, but overall, meh. Kinda meh. I'm going to trim Cling and Spellbomb, even though I think they're probably fine to keep in. I believe I'm going to begin with that plan. I think I'm going to keep both Wrenn and Sixes in, because the ping can line up, if not curving out, as okay. With those combos, I'm probably leaving in all discard spells. We love all removal spells. I think everything still in our deck is pretty justifiable. Maybe we don't need 2 Kroxa, but, like, is the second Kroxa better than Klothys? Probably. Better than Veil of Summer? Probably. I'm just going to play 1 Brutality, and I think I'm running it back. Yeah, seems good enough, but you guys can let me know if you would do something different against goblins. Again, my experience is very limited. Okay, well, we've got a 2-lander, and we've got fetches for Wrenn. This is a great hand. Pure board and hand control with Wrenn providing the advantage. So, let's get a Blood Crypt. That's not only just like the best land with our hand, but it also allows us to consider getting basic forest next turn, even though that's bad with Kroxa. It's good with our life total. Okay, we probably have to take the Thoughtseize, but the opponent's hands are really scary. But them Thoughtseizing our Wrenn is pretty scary too. And then also just seeing our handful of removal and knowing to sequence around it. So I'm going to take the Thoughtseize here. And this, of course, means they're going to run out Prospector here. And we'll just get another form of advantage from Wrenn via the ping. Or will we? We've drawn Inquisition. Yeah, I still think we're going to play Wrenn and ping. And I guess our life total with that hand isn't under the most pressure. We should probably get a non-forest land. Yeah. We'll shock. Why not? Alright, your move OP. Buy back that Mire. Inquisition away the... I guess the Grumgully is still pretty scary here. Don't want them getting value off of Snoop, but whatever. We'll get the Grumgully. And Seal of Fire will handle this one, and they've got a Goblin Matron coming off the top. So we've got to remember that. And then they've got a Bogart Harbinger as well. So they're going to have everything stuck in hand while we just go off. I'm just going to bolt here for mana efficiency, but... Ooh, Liliana. That seems good, too. That seems really good. The opponent might be just about locked out here by this. That might even be the concession. Yep, okay, good enough for me. So that's the type of Jund progression, especially on the play, that can really, really keep a Goblin down. Now, I don't think we saw anything especially spicy. I'm inclined to just run it back, but let's take a moment to glance over things and make sure we think that's correct. A lot of our cards admittedly do get worse on the draw. Like, a second Brutality to kill the Snoop on the draw could become more of an imperative. We could cut, like, a 1 Spyro because it is slow, and not a good anti-combo card. We could also cut a Kroxa for kind of the opposite reasons, in that you can play it early, it is good against them having a critical mass of cards in hand, but... Yeah, I guess Kroxa is pretty much better than Spyro here, for the most part. I'll trim one. Feels a little weird though, because like if you are playing kind of a fairer game, if like you're making them play a fairer game, then Spyro is really good. Okay, we've got double Plague Engineer. We're gonna keep this hand for sure. It's clunky though, and it doesn't do anything turn 1 and we're on the draw. And it doesn't have the third land yet, but it's gotta be a keep. We do have the turn 2 Brutality kill spell. We do also have a Kroxa to take us over the top. And we also have Maelstrom Pulse, which is really good. We have functionality with our lands, and as mentioned, we've got the double Plague Engineer. Seems pretty good to me. And we drew a Thoughtseize. Again, I can't hate it, because it's a 1-mana spell off the top. Just can't really afford to miss the third land in this with this hand at all. But we won't. We got 2 more looks at it, right? Okay, so they do have the Snoop. They do have Sling Gang Lieutenant, and there's Kiki Jiki in hand. So, I kind of just want to take Sling Gang, because it's value. It's the best of value play, and we'll just kill Snoop next turn with Brutality. And they're going to get to cast Sling Gang this turn. Even with the 3 lands in hand, they can use Prospector to do it. Or not this turn, but this game. So yeah, I'm going to take Sling Gang. I think them having Kiki Jiki in hand, if I'm understanding their deck correctly, is mostly bad for them. But, you know, if the game goes long enough, they can certainly hardcast it and do some work with it. So I'm sure they know a kill spell is coming because we didn't take Snoop. But probably don't have much choice than to play it anyway. Okay, we got the third land all rolled up, so it's Brutality time. I think our hand is good enough that we just want to simply use it as a kill spell without escalating. Kroxa is a relatively free one to escalate with, but what are we really accomplishing with that? Probably not much. I think Kroxa is likely to get like a Kiki out of their hand, maybe before they can cast it. So let's not even bother. Let's just kill Snoopy. Okay, the fear here is that they've drawn Ringleader or Grumgully. They've drawn Grumgully. That's a little scary. We're still going to get a really good window for Plague Engineer, though. And we know both cards in their hand, and we've drawn Seal of Fire, so next turn we can use that to kill Grumgully. Cool. So the only question is, do we want to get Basic Forest, or do we want to Fetch and Shock? Kroxa wants us to Fetch and Shock. Our one of Spyro makes us want to Fetch and Shock. I guess those are 2 good enough reasons. The Plague Man cometh. Controversial here, but I think naming Goblin is correct. OP getting busy with Grumgully. And then playing out a Skirk Prospector who will survive, but will not survive a second Plague Engineer. So Kroxa get the Kiki out of their hand, then Seal of Fire the Grumgully. We also get to play Bauble doing that. The other option is a second Plague Man, but I think we might as well get the Kiki out. I guess we could Bauble them first, see what they're going to draw. That seems reasonable. They're going to draw Goblin Matron, which is just going to get shut off by Plague Engineer. But they can tutor up something good with it. I guess that's kind of still incentive to use Kroxa right now, though, right? And I don't want to get cheesed out by Goblin beats with this type of advantage, so I'm just going to sit back. So Goblin Matron coming off the top. We're drawing with Bauble. We've got 2 looks at a 4th land to escape Kroxa. We don't hit it the first time, but we might hit it for our draw step. If not, we've got yet another great thing to do. Lurrus buying back Bauble, looping that, or indeed looping Seal of Fire off of a 4th land. These are all excellent things for us. Will Matron just go get Tarfire, maybe, to beat our Plague Engineer? I'm not sure. I'm not sure what you do in this spot as a Goblin player. Do you try to, like, go get a Ringleader and go wide? And hope it doesn't get knocked out of your hand? Yeah, that's what they do. Alright, then. We have the 4th land, so I guess we just go Kroxa mode, get the Ringleader out of there, and make them beat Kroxa. And then we have all this other stuff to follow up with. So we lose some great stuff out of our graveyard, but seems awesome. Kroxa OP. Now we can swing. So the opponent punished for not getting Tarfire there, but you understand why they do it, I guess. OP with an Ether Vial off the top, not too scary. I think they should have held it to save the damage from Kroxa, but maybe it just doesn't matter. Let's just play another Plague Engineer because it is awesome, and because it kills the Prospector. Oh baby, we are junding them out. That will be the concession before Plague Man can name... You don't know if we were going to name Goblin? Look at all these options they're suggesting. Carrier, Cat, Elder... They're all viable, right? But maybe we name Goblin, maybe we would have got there. Anyway, pretty intense 3, much quicker, I might add, than the ones against Prowess, and we are 2-0 with Lurrus Jund. Okay, round 3, we're on the draw. This is a borderline hand. If Decay lines up, hopefully it'll be enough to bridge us into the mid-game where we look really strong. If it doesn't, we could get run over. I'm going to keep. With the opponent mulling, I'm going to keep. Definitely, like, some things that we just can't... that will just run us over with this hand. Like, especially some of the ones that mulligan deep, like our opponent's doing in Game 1. Especially with them on the play. I'm thinking Dredge and Tron. And as I was about to say, I wish we were on the play with this hand. If nothing else, we could tag a turn 1 map or Shriekhorn with this Abrupt Decay, despite our hand otherwise being kind of weak. But on the draw, we can't really do it. And sure enough, it is Tron, but they don't have turn 1 map. They have turn 1 Sphere. We have drawn the greatest anti-Tron tech known to mankind. It is Seal of Fire. Alright, OP. Seal of Fire, go. What is that from Nemesis? The set Nemesis? Kinda cool, if you ask me. OP filtering into green, playing in Ancient Stirrings. I'm just gonna 6. I don't think we're gonna need to Seal of Fire this turn. Ooh, they found map. Power plant, then to map. Okay, I take it all back. Our Decay is gonna hit their map. That actually is pretty awesome. Actually, pretty cool. However, I am a little sad to see this matchup, and you know they can still just have it, right? But we have disrupted as much as our opening hand allowed us to. And they don't have it. They have a forest. So now we get to go on the Liliana plan and keep making them not have it, or hoping they don't have it for long enough to get over the line. Yeah, so we'll play Mountain. I think we'll pitch Fetchland because we only really need 1 green to operate. Didn't even think in Jund, says the opponent. I guess they mean they didn't think it was likely to be Jund. I'm not sure. Oh, with these Prowess decks. Yeah, sure. So they thought we were Prowess. Yep, makes total sense. Unlike whatever I just tried to type. Understand double. There it is. Okay, so yeah, you understand why opponent would think Blackcleave Cliffs into Seal of Fire was Prowess. But the Prowess lists I've seen usually declare a companion, so... Ooh, opponent with no 4th land, us with a Bauble. Love it. Love it. Alright, the only question is what to pitch. I guess we just pitch Lightning Bolt, because then we dump out the whole hand and redraw off of it. Or we could, like... Yeah, no, let's just pitch the Bolt, dump the whole hand. I kind of like making the 4th land drop here. OP ditches their spatial contortion just in time for us to cast a small creature. Love to see it. Not that we would care over much about that anyway. Alright, Cling to Dust, Seal of Fire in our hand. Just gonna say go here. Give them the old Bauble treatment here. They're about to draw Chromatic Star. They're about to play it, and I'm sure immediately crack it, looking for another land. A little scary, but they didn't have it. Wow. Okay. Yield until next end step, and then I'm just going to cling to Cantrip here. Getting rid... I guess it really doesn't matter much what we get rid of. Expedition map seems fine. We've drawn Inquisition. I don't expect it will hit Kolaghan's command. But if it does hit, we can get them completely empty-handed, which is not nothing. So I'm going to try it. Might be bad, though. Might have been better to just use this as our Liliana +1. Do they have, like, they have main deck Spatial Contortion, so do they have, like, a main deck Dismember or something? No, they just have nothing. Okay. Since they have nothing, I think I'm just gonna... I don't think we need to aggressively Kolaghan's command is my point here. And I think the Liliana Alts prospect is pretty much lights out, so I'm thinking about just pitching Seal of Fire to this +1. I think that's probably correct. Like, technically that makes our clock worse, but I don't think that's the axis upon which the match turns at all. They have 3 scary payoffs in hand. One that they can work toward hardcasting in the form of Thragtusk. The other one that they can keep in hopes that they blindly rip Urza's Tower. I don't even want to say it out loud. So I expect them, yes, I was just about to say this, I expect them to pitch Karn Liberated, because the 2 kind of opposite extremes are where they want to be. They're the cards they want to keep around. Concession. All right. Taking game 1 off of Tron, guys. That felt amazing, and we obviously got pretty lucky. Their issue, of course, is that they mulligan to 5, and then couldn't threaten to put Tron together beginning on turn 1. They found the map for turn 2, our Decay took care of that, and then they were just spinning their wheels as Liliana went to work. So that's a good way to get a game 1. Post-side, it's going to improve more for us than it does for them, but I think it's still a bad matchup. Pillage is going to be fantastic to come in. We could play probably 1 Ashiok as well. I'm not seeing anything else that we really want. Let's see how many bad cards we have to cut. 2 Fatal Push is pretty clearly bad, but then we have, like, Cling, Spellbomb. Alright, I'm already seeing enough that I'm just going to commit to playing an Ashiok. Cling, Spellbomb, Wrenn and Six, Seal of Fire is pretty low impact. Everything else is pretty good. I still don't think we want more than 1 Ashiok, despite a lot of low impact cards, especially on the draw. So why don't we trim 1 Seal of Fire and either 1 Wrenn and Six or one of the Graveyard Hate cantrip types. I'm just trying to think of edge case scenarios where each of them are better than the other. I think I'm going to leave both Wrens in. So do we want to cut Cling or Spellbomb? I'm going to cut Spellbomb. Nah, I'm going to cut Cling. Spellbomb might be likelier to turn on Delirium for Whispers of Emrakul, and also gives us just, like, mid-game redraws on command if we, like, disrupt and then stick a Lurrus, and have already found a Spellbomb too. The edge case stuff, though, almost doesn't matter just because it is Tron, and it's worth thinking about, but really, this is not a matchup that's usually decided at all by edge case decisions like the ones we just talked about. Alright, this is a keep for us on the draw. I wish we were on the play with this one, that's for sure. But it is a keep. We don't really have anything better to mulligan toward except discard spells, which are definitely fine, on the draw. Because we don't play Trophy in this deck, right? So we have to hope they kept a 7 without Natty Tron. And we have to hope that, therefore, turn 2 Decay, maybe they line up like cantripping into a map this time like they did last time. So maybe Decay puts them off of turn 3 Tron, then we get to Pillage, then we get to Liliana. You could see it all coming together, but they did keep 7, so it's less likely. On the other hand, again, in an attrition matchup like this, they are incentivized to just keep, like, medium 7s rather than mulling deep. Okay, play a map, they play a Sphere. That's still an okay Decay target, just because they don't get to draw off it if it goes to the graveyard. Chromatic Star, on the other hand, even if you decay it and they didn't pay the mana to activate its ability or anything like that, they still get the draw. So here, having drawn Swamp, I guess we do just decay the Sphere, and hope they don't have Natty Tron. Abrupt Decay, putting in work on the draw in this matchup. Okay, they lead off on another Sphere. And then they just play Blast Zone. They didn't try to cantrip first, though, which is strange. But I guess they have Sylvan Scrying here. Yep. So they played... Tower is the one they played turn 2, and Tower is also the one... Oh, they go get Snow-Covered Forest, though. What? They just assume we have pillage or something here, and they're playing for the Thragtusk plan or whatever? That's interesting. Okay, so... well, we're definitely still just going to pillage. I guess we're going to hit the tower. Might have been the wrong land to play. I should maybe have considered, like, setting up the second green for Ravine and stuff, but I didn't really want to fetch in case they, like, have a relic off the top and then crack it looking for action. I don't want to lose my only fetch land when Wrenn and Six is still in hand and we can feasibly get that going at some point. OP with Elixir of Immortality into Urza's Mine. Wow. Okay, so we hit the right land with Tower, I guess. I don't really know what's going on, to be perfectly frank. But anyway, let's play Liliana. Now having drawn 2 fetch lands, we can pitch one of them freely enough. Play another one out. OP just gaining the life with Elixir. You got it. Well, I guess that makes Ashiok a little worse. If the Millwind condition is no longer live, we can't beat Elixir of Immortality. Okay, so we know that OP has a snow-covered forest in hand. At the minimum, they can make a land drop. But they're going to do a little cantripping first, and they can find Expedition Map. Big yikes. Big yikes. Okay, so we need to draw another pillage, basically. Or like a Thoughtseize to empty their hand. Inquisition. Ooh, okay. That's the high ceiling play, right? But I don't think we're supposed to make it. I think we're supposed to tick up and pitch it. Well, no. We can kind of have it all. We're still probably not going to play it, though, and therefore it's probably never going to matter. But at least this turn we can play the Wrenn, buy back a land, put a land down, then K-command them to make them empty-handed. Alright, so then in response to their activation of map, we're going to K-command them to empty the hand. And then, unfortunately, we just kind of have to shock them. That's the only other play, and they're at 25 life, so that's not very good. But hopefully this will be sufficient to buy us enough time to ult with Lily. We got Wormcoil out of their hand. Perfect. That would have been such a tough card for us to beat. So now they still get to go get a Tron, and their top decks are still live. But I think realistically, in a deck without Assassin's Trophy, we've done like all we can be expected to do on the draw. Now we just have to hope to fade the top decks for a few turns. They do have Blast Zone as well, but... okay, Lurrus, huh? Well, why don't we just pick up a land and put it back down with Liliana? We could pitch this Inquisition, that'd be fine too. Yeah, maybe getting another land thinned out of the deck is better. Let's take Lily up, pitching Inquisition. I actually think I'm going to attack with a Ravine rather than deploy Lurrus, though, because Blast Zone on 3 is looking like a real possibility. We got Ulamog out of the hand, okay. Alright, the Ravine clock has begun. Elixir of Immortality, again, a pretty big setback here for our purposes, but... Okay, so, if they don't draw a payoff, it's going to be... Well, Ancient Stirrings is a good draw. Obviously, that's a really good draw, because it lets them still activate Blast Zone even if they don't find a payoff, but of course they did. So it's Ugin, and that sucks, but Ugin ticking down means it dies to Ravine on the crackback, and Ugin ticking up is pretty bad for us, actually, but they run the risk of us sitting on like a Pulse or Trophy or something. Yeah, Ugin forced to tick down, so Ravine will get to finish it off if we don't draw anything relevant. We draw another Lily, huh? Definitely just gonna kill Ugin, but could be okay. Big problem, though, their Tron, they're top decking, they also have Blast Zone already set at 3. So, the more I think of it, the more Liliana's just pretty bad, compared to doing something that, I don't know. Like, both Liliana and Lurrus are high-value cards in a vacuum, and also in many contexts against this deck, but right now, with nothing to buy back with Lurrus, and nothing else going on with Lily, they're not that great. Literally think we just keep attacking with Raging Ravine. It's a strange play when we have good stuff, again, that's kind of good in a vacuum in hand, but right now this is the thing that we're really making them answer. And they do with a Wormcoil engine off the top. Pretty bad. But that's one reason having this Liliana in hand is okay. It can help us start to fight through that. Oh, just so many lands off the top, though, at a really crucial time. Feels bad, man. Let's go, Liliana. Edict your Wormcoil. Then play the land. I don't want to run the Lurrus out into Blast Zone on 3. I also don't know if I want to attack with Ravine and force the block. That's probably bad. We're probably supposed to sit back with Ravine and try to draw like Pulse to clear out the tokens and then resume the Ravine clock. Or, you know, at least make their attacks more complicated, their attack decisions more complicated. Like, do they want to send both at Liliana? And if they do just send the Death Touch one in, you know, it's not the worst idea in the world to just let it through. I think I'm gonna. I think I'm just fetching the Thin on the end step, even though I don't think we have any other... Yeah, we don't have any other shocks to get, but I don't want to draw a basic mountain at all, Natty, so let's get that out of there. All right, deck, come on. Maelstrom Pulse. There it is. There it is. Okay, we're back on the Ravine plan. I should have... It doesn't matter. Should have hit the Death Touch one, though, in case a really weird play happened where they had, like, a removal spell that could kill that in response. You know what I mean. Alright, opponent is dead next turn. They gotta rip something. The Ravine can take us all the way if they don't. Come on, one time, nothing. One time, hit concede. Okay, Chromatic Star. Cantripping into Ancient Stirrings. Terrifying. Into concede anyway, because we got really lucky? Question mark. So the tanking here means that either we did get really lucky and they're kind of in disbelief and maybe typing something, or it means that we're in trouble because they have many good choices. And they're figuring out what one's the best. Ooh, it's so scary against Tron. In most spots. I was going to say in a spot like this, but let's be real. In most spots against Tron. Keeping us in suspense, OP. Karn the Great Creator. Wow, okay, well. Is it an Ensnaring Bridge game, or do they have something else to get of relevance? Amazingly, we still have nothing to buy back with Lurrus after all of this play. Wrenn and Six has been exiled by Ulamog, and that's actually irrelevant, because otherwise we could have bought back with Wrenn. Opponent goes to get Liquimetal Coating. Yeah, that makes sense, I suppose. So if we activate in a response, we're good, right? Like, I've never encountered this situation, but it says activated abilities of artifacts your opponent's control can't be activated. So I think if we activate in response here, we can still attack. If I'm wrong, then I'll take the lumps for it. But I believe this to be correct. Opponent says GG, I guess it is. GG, well played. I guess they just had to make us see it. Yeah, sweet. Yeah, I thought so. The fact that they did it, I was like, am I missing something? Never happened to me before, but hey. Very polite Tron opponent here, Pablo Zoo, shout out to you. Always nice to have a little friendly banter in chat. Always nice to deceive the opponent unintentionally with our turn 1 Blackcleave into Seal of Fire opener. And even nicer, I admit, to 2-0 Tron with a Jund deck. Especially one that plays a little bit of a more dirtily game with Lurrus. It's not like we're slamming Bloodbraid Elves and racing Tron. Like, we truly do have to disrupt them well and fade some things. And I guess we did both here. 3-0, cashing with Lurrus Jund. We love it. Let's go to round 4. Okay, winning the die roll for what I think is probably the first time in the league. Hey, I kind of forgot Whispers was in our deck. We're seeing a couple in the opener. Sure, let's keep this and hope it lines up. If not, like, just the first Whispers on the play is okay. I'm going to run out Bloodstained Mire here, rather than Cliffs in the blind, I guess. Alright, Whispers of Emrakul is going to get a little love, and if the push doesn't line up, then hopefully the Whispers will. Street Wraith, okay. Well, looks like Shadow. I guess if they discard us, we're just going to let it resolve. Like, you could cling in response or whatever. But I think we just let it resolve. All the cards in our hand are good. And clinging in response just makes their decision easier and also shows them one more card. But we're going to let it resolve, then we're going to go get Overgrown Tomb tapped. And then we're going to cast a Whispers of Emrakul. Pretty cool, not going to lie. And they have to be careful about taking the Liliana here, because that's going to turn Delirium on sooner. So a careful decision needs to be made here for the opponent. And I'm sure our tech is throwing them for a loop here, so hey, even though we haven't really used this card yet, number one, we're about to, and number two, it's complicating things for the opponent just by its presence. But opponent takes Lily anyway. So, yeah, makes sense. I mean, it is still just like our best card, right? I'm being patient with the Cling because they'll likely still be able to get the Angler next turn if they have it, even if we Cling one thing after our Whispers resolves, plus whatever else they've got. So yeah, time to just target them and hopefully discard their Angler out at random. Oh, we get Watery Grave. Well, maybe we land screw them that way. What about that? How cool would that be? Nope. Alright, so because they have Effect Land, Watery Grave, pretty bad. So we did a 2-mana discard your mostly unnecessary land. Feels bad. Feels bad. And it looks like they have the Angler. Yup. Dang. Into the Inquisition. So one of the Shadow nut draws from OP, but let's just rip a kill spell, because they are shields down for our turn 3. We rip Tarmogoyf instead. Well, that's actually kind of good, just because it gives us something to eventually play. But I think what we're supposed to do first is get 2 cards out of their hand with Whispers. Seems actually really good, despite how bad the first one was. They did take our Fatal Push, so I guess that means they probably have a Shadow to play as well, huh? Yeah, we got the 4 types. Snapcaster Mage and Thought Scour out of the hand. Do we want to Cling main phase? Probably not. I mean, technically it might not be bad because they like them using a stub just to shut off our Cling here actually kind of sucks for us, but at the same time that would be a really aggressive stub from the OP, leaving them soft to removal off the top. We want to be careful to keep our Goyf a 5/6 if we can, so that means taking away not Snapcaster with the Cling, not that we would anyway. They have the 3rd land, they're not shocking it in. I think their last card is Shadow, but we'll see. I'm just going to hit Thought Scour. It's just a more proactive Snapcaster target. We rip some stuff. Inquisition and Lurrus. Alright, well, it's going to be Inquisition into Goyf, for sure. Hope they have a Shadow in hand that we just take. Another Angler? Oh, no. Okay, well, that's bad, but at least they're not casting it all that soon, and at least our Goyf is bigger than their first Angler. OP rips Fatal Push immediately. Man, that is a tilt and a half. Okay. We rip Blackcleave Cliffs, pretty bad. But we do get to play Lurrus. So, I don't know what, like... The thing that sucks is the opponent either has a spell or a land. Either one of them allows them to cast their second Angler. They have just had a really good progression. Not taking the block here. If they have TBR, so be it. If they even have Lightning Bolt, so be it. But if they had Bolt, they should have just pointed it. And they're up a land, so here comes Angler number 2. And Goyf, when we buy it back, will now be too small to compete directly with an Angler, right? Yeah, because when we buy it back, it itself will leave the graveyard, and then we're back to a 4/5. Liliana's a good draw. It's just too little too late, most likely. But what is our best play here? Buy back the Goyf and then double chump? No. Because even gaining the 3 still leaves us exactly dead, so feels so bad, but we've got to just edict and then chump with Lurrus and leave our Goyf in the yard. But it does give us outs. Because if the opponent bricks off for a couple turns, we could draw removal or another chump blocker and then line up a second edict. And then we're in good shape. Why is OP tanking on the block here? Okay, I don't know. We've drawn Nurturing Peatland. Well, I'm not going to call it a good draw, but it does let us play something that matters and then tick up, which is sweet against permission and removal. And they had permission, they had Stubby D. Okay, so holding up Cling, or just even main phasing Cling, is a way to stay alive. Yeah, I think we just say go here, because if they attack us, then we Cling their Angler and we stay alive. If they attack Liliana, then maybe we crack Peatland. Well, we're not playing Trophy, so then we just let her go, and then we'll end step crack Peatland. Of course, we can get really rewarded for cracking Peatland now, but if we brick and then we just die to the Angler attack, that'll be awful. So I think we have to say go. Opponent drew a Bauble. Okay, so we're not dead. They're going to get to see our top deck. Okay, so they're attacking Lily, right? So because there's no reason not to crack Peatland now, we kind of have the freedom to do so. But again, I don't think we're drawing toward anything that matters. Freaking Blackcleave Cliffs off the top. Come on. Oh, no. All right, we draw another Lurrus. But Blackcleave Cliffs, I was just about to say, is literally so bad because even if we draw Lurrus, we can't play Goyf. What's happening? What's happening? Okay. So that's really bad. I think we just have to assume OP's going to brick. And therefore we're going to Cling their Angler. And try to go Lurrus into Goyf next turn. Gurmag Angler. Having the double Angler progression with a bunch of discard around it. On the play, really tough for Jund to deal with. Okay, so a lot of things beat us here, including TBR, Stubborn Denial, whatever, but I can't tell what I have and have not clicked anymore. So No, I meant to click a land here. So let's put one of these sorceries back in and click a Bloodstained Mire. There we go. Okay, so we stay alive. OP with 2 cards in hand, though. Our outs are becoming narrower, but at least one of them is a land. The other one is Lurrus. No, they do play Lurrus and Angler alongside each other. Dang. All right, we probably can't win against that. Against that Bauble loop on top of everything else. We draw a Wrenn and Six. Yeah, feels bad. The only play we've really got is Lurrus buy back the Goyf. Man, can't believe they have the non-bow of Angler and Lurrus. It's not like, you know, a real non-bow, is it? But I think in one of my recent videos I saw the opponent. I knew that they were a Shadow deck playing Lurrus, and my commentary and some of my play was made with Angler in mind, playing around the card Angler. And then at the end of it I said, or near the end of the game, I said, well, are they really even on Angler with Lurrus? I'm not entirely certain, but as you can see, they can be. Man, OP just ripping the nuts, huh? Okay, we're dead. We'll kill the Angler out of spite. Lose to the Lurrus. Exactsies. Okay, their progression was nutty. Feels bad. We've had some really good displays, you know, you can't really complain too much. And we have every chance of winning both post-side games. But winning game 1, which we were really close to doing, would have been awesome. So Ashiok and Klothys are both decent. Probably only play one Ashiok if I'm playing them at all. A lot of people told me I should be playing Plague Engineer last time and I didn't against Shadow. I think the card's fine. I think you should always consider it, but it's going to depend on your 75. And it's also a card that trades down pretty badly, right? Like, it's a big tempo loss if they have K-Command or Fatal Push or even Lightning Bolt to kill it. And at its best, it kind of is like a trades 1-for-1 with an Angler or a Shadow, both of which are also a tempo loss for us. And if you're, like, locking Snapcasters out along the way, you know, yeah, Plague Engineer has some fine windows. It's a fine card to consider, but I don't think it's a slam dunk must include. I think Nihil Spellbomb and Veil of Summer are the only slam dunk must includes, and all these other things are fine. And Plague Engineer is arguably the worst between all these cards, but you can play any of them and they're fine. I think we're just going to probably cut all Bolts and Seals of Fire here. They are too low impact, and while they do have a cheese factor, maybe that's not really where we want to be. We should probably trim away from discard to some degree, whether it be Whispers or, like, Inquisitions. We're probably supposed to cut a couple of these cards, and you could play with only one Wrenn as well. That'd be fine. So I'm thinking about setting up like this. This allows us to leverage Whispers on the play, where it's a lot more impactful, I think, and also allows us to see the spicy tech that we're here to test. On the draw, if we take him to game 3, maybe Whispers can get trimmed, Inquisition gets better. So I think I like that. I'm just wondering if I should then also cut another discard spell in some form for a Plague Engineer, or if I should just run it like this. You could cut like a discard spell and a Wrenn and Six for the 2 Plague Men. We have a really hefty 3-drop slot, though. I think I'm going to submit like this, and everybody can tell me again that I should be playing the Plague Man, and hey, maybe I should, but especially against Lurrus, I think it's even worse than before, right? Again, not that it was bad, but we got Whispers on the play, snap keep. More realistically, this is like an okay hand. It's definitely fine. It's much better on the play than it would be on the draw because it does not have hard answers, but what it does have is like a lot of flexible value and some high upside permanents and spells, and we will see exactly how far that can take us. This would be a hand that I would actually feel favored with if the opponent had mulliganed to 6. Sadly, they have kept 7. And depending on what they do here, we will have to decide whether we want to, like, throw out a blind 1-for-1 Whispers on turn 2 or stick the Wrenn. Well, opponent will tap out an Inquisition, so maybe they won't give us a choice. But again, our highest card quality is at the 3-drop slot. So, opponent's got another really tricky decision to make here. That is for sure. Okay, OP taking that Wrenn and Six there, risking the wrath of Whispers. And since we don't have any other play, I guess we have to I guess we have to go for it, right? That's funny. You, my friend, must discard a card at random. Let's see the Angler go down. Dismember goes down. That's not that exciting. But, sure. If there's an Angler here, I'm just gonna, like, be really sad. But that is the card that beats Jund. And it's why I like to be on Rock with a high trophy count and just, like, a lot of really good... like, all the Rock Disruption lines up well against Shadow. And obviously they do have the Angler, but once again, they're going to give us a window here. They're fully tapped out. We've got turn 3. We cannot draw anything to punish them. Man. How bad is that? How bad is that? Well, at least we drew something that's somewhat proactive to do in the form of Goyf, and at least our Whispers did protect said Goyf from at least one removal spell. But if they have another one, we are going to be on the ropes, like, immediately. And, yeah, that's just what Shadow's designed to do. They're so tempo efficient that if their stuff lines up like it is here, it's hard for us to keep up, but their stuff doesn't always line up, and those are the games that we win. Shadow, okay. Well, we have to be tempo efficient in our own right, and we're just going to push it. I think we kind of have to push it off basic Swamp here, even though it means we're kind of far away from double red for certain things. Just because we don't want to go below 11 with an Angler on the field that we right now cannot beat. So yeah, I'm just going to push here and see if it resolves. It does. Okay, well, now this is really interesting, because now our Goyf is big enough to race the Angler, or indeed to just block it. I think I'm going to race. I think I'm just going to, like, race, play a, like, attack, play a Lurrus, say go. Once again, we're running into spots where we don't happen to have the Baubles or the Spellbombs to buy back with Lurrus. Admittedly, post-side we have fewer things to do, having sided out Seals of Fire, but, you know, 3 Seals out, 2 Spellbombs in, maybe it's not that different. In any case, let's begin with a Goyf attack, see what they've got. If they push it, maybe we consider, like, a K-command play rather than a Lurrus play. Okay. Thought we might be in for a client issue there, but thankfully we appear to be back. They're going to cling the Wrenn to shrink the Goyf and to draw a card. Okay. That doesn't really change the clock if we are going to commit to playing Lurrus, which it looks like we are. Just because we are still representing lethal on the crackback, right? And therefore they have to either have ways to prevent that or they have to sit back with the Angler. That said, Lurrus just got even worse because now the only buybackable target, as things stand, just got taken away. They've got another Shadow, which is much bigger than the previous one we pushed. If only we'd been able to somehow K-command that old Shadow and now push this one with our 1 open mana, that would be great. Opponent doesn't really seem like they have stub, but they could have just drawn it or they could be very disciplined with it. It's hard to say, obviously. We draw Wrenn and Six, huh? Okay. I think that makes me want to play a little bit more of a defensive game. Because Wrenn does a lot. Wrenn lets us make a 5th land drop to double spell this turn, although we won't main phase K-command, we'll like try to buy back a threat after we assign some blocks here. And that also will get us the land requisite to turn on a Raging Ravine. At the same time, if we do that, we are definitely going down low enough where we have to double chump block next turn, which is really bad. But we don't really have any other good options. The only other option is to crack Peatland, try to draw a kill spell for Shadow, and hope they don't have anything. And maybe that's still good, because then, you know, if they don't have anything, we double chump block, we can buy back Peatland with Wrenn and Six. And then also, like, they could, like, if they have stub, we could just draw Abrupt Decay and kill the Shadow, and if they don't have removal, there's nothing they can do about it. Alright, playing for the high upside, let's draw 1-time Abrupt Decay. Like, I just think K-command, even though it's value positive, is not enough when we're on the ropes like this. We need to try to, again, play for higher upsides. We're pretty punished by drawing Inquisition. That's like, okay, but I think we have to play Wrenn because we're double chumping this turn anyway. So we might as well do something more mana efficient. Reclaim our lost land. And do we Inquisition now? Maybe not, because now we can afford to, like, we're bluffing push. Yeah, I'm not going to. We do get punished for this in a couple ways, but in this way we are bluffing push. And we're not dead on board, necessarily, to the Angler attack. So we are really complicating life for the opponent. They just have Lightning Bolt. Never mind. Okay, that really sucks. But we're still technically not dead. We're just like, we just don't really have good good situation now. That really sucks. Anyway, let's block here and go to 1. And now I don't know what our possible outs are. Okay, Snap Bolt for the win. What a way to lose to Shadow. That's really unusual. But hey, their progressions were really good. We had some good decisions to make here. Sadly, they were not good enough to get us over the line. Okay, final round. Playing for that 4-1 with Depletion deck in our hand. Definite keep, but the mana's really painful. So if we are against a all-out aggro deck, we could get really punished for this keep. Nevertheless, we'll still have double Inquisition against those decks is going to be amazing on the play. So let's just assume they're not on an aggro deck. We'll get a Blood Crypt here, Inquisition you. Opposite of aggro. Double Force of Negation and Remand. Pretty easy take of Remand. Also 3 lands the opponent has mulliganed. Don't know what we're against. but I see snow-covered forest, so do note that. Wrenn and Six. Okay. Seems really good. But they might just force it, and I really want it to resolve. So I'm actually going to double discard this turn. We could also have done Kroxa, I think that'd be fine, but again, if we're aiming for a world in which Wrenn and Six resolves, we do just rip their entire hand to pieces right here, right now. And they've drawn Field of Ruin, so they're in total top deck mode, and it's turn 2. Only lands in hand, and we're hopefully about to stick a Wrenn. Even if we don't, it's not the total end of the world, because we've drawn a third land anyway. But still obviously going to be really nice if it resolves, and indeed it does, so let's start making this a Wrenn and Six game and a Kroxa game. What do you say? And it's none too soon, because we do have, the pain is really starting to add up from our progression. Okay, buy back the Mire, play a Kroxa. We don't need to start doing the Peatland loop yet. Kroxa is quite enough action right now, you know, to justify just going on this plan and staying ahead of the game on land drops rather than kind of spinning our wheels to generate card advantage, but not developing our mana enough. We get a Cryptic out of the opponent's hand. Wow. Okay. So we know about the Field of Ruin. What else is in their hand that they would pitch Cryptic? I mean, Cryptic is uncastable for now, but still obviously a pretty great card. Okay, there's Misty Rainforest. Maybe they had this and they know they can get Mystic Sanctuary to buy that back if they need to. Something to that effect could be in play, or it could be something else that I'm not thinking of. But I was thinking maybe they have like a Jace, but they obviously don't. Okay, we need a second red. And it is, in fact, Kroxa time, my friends. We lose our fetch land, so we're not buying anything back with Wrenn and Six for now, but again, the Peatland loop is live as soon as we want it to be. Field of Ruin goes down. Still don't know what the card they've maybe kind of been protecting is. And we're still going to tick up with Wrenn because Threatening Alt is, I believe, correct here. Especially because Kroxa could still be a 2-turn clock all on his own. If they have empty hand or lands that they have to pitch. Okay, there's the Uro that we were kind of expecting this whole time. It seems like it was just a top deck though, right? Still definitely a scary one, but we have a handful of answers to it, to be fair. We've drawn Bauble, eh? Alright, I'm going to begin by cracking and buying back Peatland. Seal of Fire, pretty low impact draw, but that's okay. We've got a couple interesting ways to generate Revolt to make pushing Uro easy. They will pitch Growth Spiral. Okay. And I'm not going to Bauble yet because they haven't fetched yet, but I'll do it on the end step. Okay, this looks like just an escaped Uro to me. He will get pushed pretty easily here. Alright, so let's see first what they're about to draw. A Misty Rainforest, okay, and then we can push Uro before they get to draw. This deck is looking boilable, by the way. Every blue land we've seen so far is an island. Just thinking post-side, right? Thinking ahead. Alright, do we want to crack Peatland again? Sure. The Renblem is not that exciting right now because we don't have, we only have spot removal to buy back. So I actually think I might... Alright, I'm going to begin by attacking with Kroxa, see what happens here. Fact or fiction out of the hand, that's pretty nice. Okay, so they're dead on board, because remember, we do have Seal of Fire. I can't believe we drew triple fetch land for our 3 draws, by the way, off of all this stuff, but anyway. We should be far enough ahead that we can still get there. Yeah, I think I'm going to buy back Peatland. I don't think Renblem necessarily gets us there. And I'm going to crack it immediately. Seasoned Pyromancer? Sure. Got 2 lands to freely pick here. Just kind of gives us more deterministic value here in this spot. And we've got all kinds of action queued up now. We've drawn a second Spyro and a Liliana of the Veil. Still have Decay and Pulse in hand, and still have a land to do Renblem stuff with, or to make a land drop with after all of that. So, opponent's got a lot of problems. They're going to Lightning Bolt Wrenn. Yeah, you gotta kind of stop the emblem, but now how do you beat the board? I guess that just lets them escape Uro, for sure. And, you know, they don't know that we have a million outs to Uro in hand, so I'm sure that is the right play. Okay, GG. I guess technically we should kill Uro with Abrupt Decay in case they're going to have 2... force and a blue spell in hand or something. Okay, opponent gonna give us a little bit more info, I guess, by making us play it out here. So we'll get to see what they discard to Kroxa. Force of Negation, hits you with the seal. See you later. So they did have a force. Maybe our Decay was the right move, not that it mattered, because if they force the first Lily or Pulse, we play the other one anyway, right? My client is starting to... Oh, wow. Client's lagging here. Kind of annoying at the end of the league. Can probably do with a restart. Let's just really hope it doesn't that it can keep functioning here through the end of this league. Let's hope for a swift win in Game 2, and then we can be done and not have any issues, right? So I guess their Temur Uro, probably Wilderness Reclamation. But we don't know that because we didn't see it for sure. Pillage is an option. Boil, Veil of Summer, Klothys, Ashiok are all slam dunks, I think. You know, as always, the second Ashiok in a non-Titan, non-all-in graveyard deck on the draw can be not optimal enough, but still seems pretty good. Technically, we'll put it down here in the second tier along with a couple of brutalities. And then in the third tier would be Pillage. So we could bring in a ton of cards. We almost certainly won't have room. I'm going to begin with planning to bring in these 6 for sure. I'm also going to cut Fatal Pushes. Probably cutting Seals of Fire. Maybe, you know, we could leave one in, right? But I think we want Pulse for sure. Leaving Decays is probably fine, but you could maybe cut one of those as well. Siding's going to be a little tricky. I think we're supposed to leave in Whispers, like, the attrition's really good because we have so many ways to clean up the graveyard. But we're going to struggle for cuts. Why don't we cut this Lightning Bolt? We'll leave one Seal of Fire as a loop piece and otherwise play without burn. Everything else looks pretty good. So we kind of want a Brutality. I guess we're playing without the second Ashiok for now. We need to make 2 cuts, despite leaving some decent stuff on the bench. You know, we can actually cut a Kolaghan's Command here, and I don't think we're supposed to play without Tarmogoyfs, but that would be another approach, is to go full control mode and side out all 4 Goyfs and bring in 4 other cards, right? But I don't think I'm gonna. Yeah, I think I like the Decays enough. I think I like the 1 Brutality. We'll just play totally without Seal of Fire. If Lurrus sticks, Lurrus will have to just buy back Spellbombs and Baubles. Seems good enough, right? You just do want a critical mass of those things because we have seen spots where we don't have anything to buy back with Lurrus. Our hand looks great. I think it's better than it looks. We have so many looks at a second land. We have to assume we're going to keep it. And if we keep it, we get to go Thoughtseize into Whispers, possibly Delirious if things go our way, into Liliana. We've also now drawn Wrenn and Six. So Bauble. The land to get here is really tricky, though. I think Blood Crypt is probably correct because we're going to need double black and double red. But the problem is, like, one of the lands we could draw is Blackcleave Cliffs, and then that would make Wrenn get stuck in our hand. So I guess the other option would be to try to draw, or to get Overgrown Tomb and gives us the widest. I don't know. It's tough. It's really tough. I think I'm still going to get Blood Crypt here. Okay, they have a Wrenn of their own. They also have Rec, Cryptic, and Opt. I think we're just going to take the Wrenn, hope to get lucky with Whispers and a combination of Whispers and Liliana, getting the big top-end stuff out of their hand. Definitely an interesting spot. So they've fetched, and then in response to the Opt, we'll Bauble them. Once. Okay, Field of Ruin on the top. And they bottom that, so they no longer have it. So let's just Bauble them again, see what they're going to draw for a turn. Another Cryptic command. Big yikes. Big yikes at their mid-game. And we have ripped Tarmogoyf Inquisition. Oh no. Still no second land. We gotta hope our draw step yields it. It does, but it's a mountain. Oh no, that's so bad. We're punished for not getting Overgrown Tomb, which is one of the exact things I talked about. That's pretty rough. I guess we just play a Whispers that's just barely not delirious. Oh, how unlucky can we get? How unlucky can we get? Now, like, we need to hope the Whispers is randomly good, and we need to hope that we draw the third land stat. And to be fair, if we do, then we get to go, like, okay, we get one of their cryptics, sure. We get to do everything. We could go, like, Inquisition into Goyf, we could try to just slam Lily, we could go Inquisition into Wrenn. But we need to draw the third land. If we don't draw the third land, we're not casting anything except an Inquisition that is halfway likely to whiff. Okay, so they played out the Tarn last turn, is that correct? I just want to make sure I'm tracking their hand. Let's see. Yes, okay. And we've drawn another Inquisition. Oh man, just so bad. And it whiffs, and they have Cryptics and Wilderness Rex and all the rest. Primeval Titan? Say what now? Alright, whatever. I'm so tempted to scoop. I literally hate these Uro piles so much. And we've stumbled so hard that I think we're unlikely to get there on the draw against their hand. But I suppose it's probably fine to play it out. But, you know, Wilderness Wreck backed up by Cryptic, it just doesn't seem that likely, does it? Okay, we break. I'm going to scoop to this. We don't get there. We don't get there this time. Just super unlucky. I don't regret the keep at all because it's a valid keep with the double Bauble for redraw, and the curve is perfect. It's got everything we want to do in this hand, in this matchup rather. Mulling in this matchup's bad. And you know, maybe getting Overgrown Tomb is slightly statistically better than getting Blood Crypt, but you understand our incentives for both. We happen to get punished for the one that we chose. It's all good. So we want the second Ashiok, partially because we're on the play, and partially because we've seen that they play Primeval Titan, so we need two Ashioks. I think the rest of our siding is pretty good. I do wonder if in some weird world they've moved a little bit away from Uro, anticipating Grave Hate, but that's probably wrong. So let's keep all our Grave Hate in, and let's just put something else to the side here. All our whole deck is pretty good. I think maybe it does have to be an Abrupt Decay here. In the face of Titan, that seems worse. You could also justify siding out a Whispers just because it's kind of a weak card, like we are playing Whispers of Emrakul in Modern. You know, you can always move away from it just because it's not that much a Modern caliber card. Geez, our hand doesn't disrupt them that well, but I think we should still keep it and hope they mulligan. Again, mulling in this matchup's a disaster. And we do have a lot of things that we like. And hey, you know, they're coming here to like compete with all of our control elements. So it's possible that a early Goyf can just kind of catch them with their proverbial pants down. Alright, another land off the top. Not good. Because it is swamp, I will go get Stomping Ground, and we're going to play the Goyf, and at least they won't be able to bolt it this turn and have the awesome trade and the awesome tempo. But if they untap and play a red land and then get to bolt it, that would still be really bad for us. But our hand doesn't do anything else, so we just have to play out our stuff and hope it gets us there. Yeah, I think the keep's justifiable, but it's not the most powerful, and if we flood, it doesn't really have the tools to overcome them. Okay, opponent playing a Triome. So Goyf will survive another turn. We've drawn Inquisition of Kozilek. That seems good, but I'm actually pretty suspicious for Veil of Summer based on their sequencing. Nevertheless, we're probably supposed to make them have it. It's not like they don't have a full hand anyway, so the cantrip obviously sucks, but it's not like we're unmulling them or undoing a bunch of our own depletion. And even if they do have it, it'll grow the Goyf handsomely. So I think we definitely are in the make them have it stage of this game. But they do. Words cannot say how much I hate that card. But our Goyf is now out of bolt range, so that's a thing. We also had incentive to do that just because otherwise, like, just dumping out our hand in the face of Spyro is... a coming Spyro on our end, that is definitely live. I got one of the kids going a little crazy upstairs at the moment. Sorry if you can hear that. They want Data to be done with his league, and he will be soon. He will be after this game, for better or for worse. I'm coming, don't worry. Blame the Uro player, they're keeping us, right? I don't think we're supposed to crack Spellbomb. We have some incentives too, but don't think I'm gonna. Draw of another Spyro, pretty awkward, not gonna lie. Let's attack, see what they've got. See if they've got like an Ether Gust or something here, no? Okay. Let's see if a Spyro resolves. We just gotta, like, hit and hope here, basically. Remanded. Pretty well punished, but at least, like, we don't have to pitch anything from a kind of decent hand, and we get to make this fourth land drop. Would have been an interesting question as to what to pitch there, but we're holding up Spellbomb, you know, we're doing a lot. Decay does feel pretty bad here, and I believe we did end up siding out one, but we're still kind of sitting on the second. It's a pretty prime candidate, I suppose, to pitch to Spyro if that's the plan that we're going on. OP with Field of the Dead, which I guess is no surprise. Again, Pillage is a playable card here for a few different reasons, but it's just a question of do we have the slots for it, and is it higher impact than other things we could be doing? I'm not sure if the answer to that is yes. They're going to Lightning Bolt the Tarmogoyf. It'll survive. Okay. I guess they have another removal spell. Wrenn and Six? Okay. Man, the Blackcleave Cliffs off the top, huh? Not a good find off of our Spellbomb. And another land. Big yikes. But hey, we can still Spyro, pitch Cliffs. Do we care about the Wrenn and Six? I'm going to play for the high upside here and pitch 2 lands. If we draw one off of Spyro, we're rewarded, because then we get to decay the Wrenn. If not, we'll just try to overwhelm them. Okay, we have Veil of Summer that we're holding up, but we didn't hit the other land. We got a lot of really good stuff in hand, but it might not be enough to beat their best progressions from here. This is a pretty scary spot, I'm not going to lie. Remember that we're drawing toward Boil too, but we haven't seen it yet. OP with Wilderness Reclamation, my least favorite card to play against. But nothing to buy back with Wrenn and Six and no other land, and they're also not on Cryptic mana. Okay, they do play another land. Got it. Mystic Sanctuary. I hate these piles. I do. Have I ever told you? Okay, Wrenn and Six of our own. That's pretty good. I'm going to lead there. So if we go black, red, we can hold up Veil of Summer to beat Permission. If Wrenn just resolves, we can still cast Kroxa. Yeah, let's do that. I'm just doing all this main phase. Technically, it might be better to attack first and see what they have. Okay, opponent with Fact or Fiction. That's not Permission. Ooh, did I click through this too fast? An opponent, so it's not target opponent. Okay. Well, Remand and Opt, whatever, we'll give them one of each. We'll split those, and then it's just, we'll split the fetch lands. And I guess give the second island to the Opt pile. I do hate playing against these piles, not gonna lie. So they ditch their Remand, they have those 3 in hand. They will then Opt. And please go for a Force of Negation here. Force our Wrenn. You know you want to. They don't want to. How disappointing. Okay. So we're definitely going to buy back a fetch land here. Yeah, I think we were supposed to kind of ignore their Wrenn now. Just play the Kroxa, try to get him dead. We get to make a 5th land drop this way, which is important with our hand. We're also holding up Veil of Summer in case they try to main phase any blue shenanigans. Yep, just saying I'm ignoring your Wrenn. Feels really bad on multiple levels. We can always decay it next turn, but this turn I think there are more important things to do, and I'm not going to divert attacks at Wrenn for now, and hopefully not ever. Field of the Dead gives them such inevitability that I kind of want to like get as much damage in as I can before that's online. Another Factor Fiction. Oh my goodness. Double Remand, the 3rd Factor Fiction, Veil of Summer. Somebody ban this deck. Somebody ban this deck. Man, I was so cool losing to Shadow. I can't stand losing to decks like this. Anyway, this makes me just want to scoop, but we're going to play it up. And technically their Veil doesn't do that much right now, but it really puts us off the decay plan. But I think we should nevertheless split the Remands and also split Factor Fiction from Veil of Summer. We'll do it like that, I guess. It really doesn't matter much where we put the land. They have enough lands, all the lands they could need between their hand and Wrenn buybacks. We've got a lot of really good stuff going on, too, though. Like, we're about to escape Kroxa next turn. We've got a Veil of our own. We're just going to try to get them killed before they can do much. The problem is they've got a lot of card advantage and the Wilderness Wreck is down, though it's just, like, the stupidest thing. But, you know, if they don't have anything besides a single Remand, because they're only going to get one of them here, and remember they chose to bin the other one. If they don't have anything, any way to stop our Kroxa besides a single Remand, we can beat that with Veil of Summer. Maybe we resolve Kroxa. Maybe they're on a 2-turn clock. Wrenn pings are also going to be live. You know, they're gonna get zombies and stuff soon, but maybe not fast enough. This is definitely, like, intense. It's definitely good magic on some level, but the UGX piles, as everybody knows, are the worst to face. Imagine if the Veil of Summer wasn't a card. Then they would be a lot more reasonable, and they would probably have to play a cool control color like white. But the Uro piles, man. Oof. Anyway, this has been a fun league. Lurrus Jund has performed really well. I think we can very easily beat Shadow. And as you can see, we're taking Uro pile Wilderness Wreck down to the wire here, taking them, making them really work for it, and we still have every chance of winning here, I think. So regardless of how it ends, alright, they take Veil of Summer rather than Factor Fiction. They also get a land for their troubles. Okay, there's Snow-Covered Island. Then they're going to Growth Spiral. Man, I hate this deck. Man, I hate this deck because now they get to make a zombie this turn with Field of the Freaking Dead. Well, two. Two zombies. I stand corrected. Man, that changes a lot, actually. Opponent with 7 cards in hand in this disgusting board state. And they just get to freely fetch now because they untap them all on the unstep. Really cool. Really sweet. Okay, they're passing priority. I'm going to do some fetching of my own, but I have no such synergies to abuse at the moment. We draw land. We draw land. Not really what the people wanted to see now, is it? Most of these lands are relatively free pitches. Yeah, I guess they all kind of are. Despite the Wrenn, we can always crack the one we have on field. Sure. Okay, so one option here is actually to just let this resolve and then cast it again from hand. And save our Veil of Summer for something a little more impactful. But I actually think we should play for the higher upside of just beating them with this play really badly. I'm going to go for it. A little higher risk, a little higher reward, right? I think the opponent pulled pretty far ahead last turn that we want to do something like this. Who's the Veil of Summer player now? What have we become? What have we become? So opponent, if they don't have anything obvious to do, one thing they could do is like Veil to cantrip. And see what that yields. It looks like they have something else to do. They're going to Growth Spiral, just cantripping, looking for more permission. Making more zombies because of 2019 and 2020 design mistakes all coming together. I promise I'm not salty. I promise. Look, this has been an amazing league, but it is important to remember that decks like this exist in Modern. And the reason I feel justified in going off so much is I know almost everybody agrees with me now. There are some people out there who don't, and that's fine. I'm not invalidating their opinion. I'm not saying that their perspective, which is to a large degree subjective, is incorrect, not anything like that. But I know that the people also wish to hear laments and ministrations. That's not the right word. I'm tired. They want to hear like a fiery preacher pulpit style exhortation of the evils of the Uro piles. And, this is very indicative of that. But anyway. I don't know what OP's doing here. I'm not complaining because we're the ones behind on the clock, as we have been for most of the league, but I suppose they kind of have to, based on the sequencing, see what they draw before they decide what next to do. So, are we double queuing, or are they having connectivity issues? I couldn't say. One nifty thing. Oh no, never mind. Ooh, that actually hurts. Maybe we could have tapped differently, or maybe fetched first. Because one thing is if they draw into yet another remand, we actually don't have another green land to go fetch to subsequently veil. So if we had fetched a... Okay, they're going to put Mystic Sanctuary down. Okay, so point is we don't have green, like if they remand this veil, to do it again. Hopefully that won't matter. But I guess technically we could have played around that by fetching with the Bloodstained Mire to begin with. They're going to go get Remand, so they have another cantrip here. Yes, they're going to veil into their Remand, which is so annoying, and if we had a Greenland effect, we could just get them here. No, I mean, we couldn't this turn anyway, because their Remand is protected by veil. So fair enough, I guess. It's just all so dumb, though. It literally is just all so dumb. Okay, so now opponent has 5 cards in hand. Maybe they have Scalding Tarn, maybe not. I don't know at this point. So are we just starting to work toward a Wrenn and Six, like a ping win con with assist from Wrenn and Six? Have we made a land drop this turn? This is so complicated at the very end of the league. Alright, it is turn 7. Where's turn 7? Turn 7. We have made a land drop this turn, so even if we fetch and buy back, we cannot do anything with it this turn. Therefore, I am kind of inclined to start pinging here. Sure. But I'm also not going to trade a Spyro for a zombie. Such a weird game. Such a weird game. We'll cling in response to any Mystic Sanctuary shenanigans, otherwise we're going to kind of try to do it on their end step. Or they just find Uro. So now, with these on the stack, we have to try to... Oh, whoops. Well, after Uro goes to the graveyard, we'll have to do this. I fetched a little prematurely there. And now that they're giving us priority, I'm just going to go for the cling. Maybe it won't resolve, whatever. We clearly want to do this since they gave us a window. They could have escaped it with double green off of the triomes and double blue off of these 2 lands. So hopefully we punish them for that in what's an incredibly complicated game. I think if anything, the opponent could have read us for that because I fetched prematurely, right? But maybe not. Alright, we got Uro out of there. Cool. That's a win. Kind of sucks that we didn't get to draw off it, but it's still a win. Alright, I guess we're trading Spyro for a zombie, which is just sad. But protect the Wrenn for a turn. See what comes of it. Gives us the most options next turn. OP with a just Primeval Titan. Yeah, okay. Okay, cool. Oh my god. This is like most of what remains that's wrong with Modern. And I think that probably just seals our fate. Like the Primeval Titan on top of everything else. Guys, this is why combo decks are not the bad guy. Combo decks are not the bad guy. This deck is the bad guy. This deck is the bad guy. Okay, well, we pretty much lose, but let's cast a Kroxa. See what happens, and then try to escape a Kroxa. I guess we just play for value at this point. I mean, we're just dead on board. What am I even doing? We're just dead on board. They just attack with everything and we die. Whatever. I guess technically we're bluffing, like maybe a bolt to help stay alive. Bolt on a zombie, block the Titan. Still take exactly lethal, but... Okay, they got Cryptic Command. Okay, that was the sourest note possible to end on. I would literally rather just like mulligan to Oblivion and not play. But the league was amazing, I think. It was only a 3-2. It's not our greatest result ever. But as I say, Shadow's very beatable. They happen to have some really good disruptive, aggressive, angler-based progressions that did get us. And the rest of the league was a dominant Junding out. That there at the end, that is an abomination. That's why we always play Boyle, because we don't want those players to get away scot-free with playing Magic like that. And the keep in Game 3 was still almost good enough to get us there. But, and as always, I'm just calling it like I see it. Maybe I missed a line or two here and there. Who knows? Who knows? You guys will let me know, I'm sure. But, we had, not one of our more dominant keeps on the play. It, in fact, was one that we had to put a lot of resources in to really start getting going with it. Nevertheless, we still put enough pressure on with an early Goyf that it was almost good enough to close it out, but they just had everything. All those factor fictions. The Uro into Primeval Titan right at the end after we had fought through everything else, it's just monstrous. That deck is anomalous. It is designed to beat mid-range. We can still beat it. We can still keep up enough with the grind to either steal games on the back of an early Goyf on the play, or to have, a chance to draw stuff like Klothys early, which we didn't happen to do, and stick that early and really position ourselves to actually win the long game that way, or stick in the game long enough to resolve a Boyle and cheese him out. There are definitely ways to get there. We could also have gotten some hype action off of Whispers of Emrakul, blowing some of these decks out. Sadly, this didn't really shine. We saw, even in situations where it was, well-positioned, it was really hard to get Delirium online. I think we only did it once, and it was pretty good there, but when you're not having Delirium online, it is a little bit rough. So, definitely kind of performing as expected. Like I say, myself and the donor, Sal, were both kind of more skeptical of this card than anything else in there, but he did want to test it, and it was definitely cool to see it in the opening hands. That's the thing. At least it wasn't that feel-bad where we're, drawing it late game when we really need a piece of onboard influencing action off the top, right? We did see it in openers. If it's in your opener, its floor is not that low, and we did at least once get to hymn them, and we hymned them in Modern, so that's pretty cool. This was an awesome league. Lurrus is good in Jund. we saw, we didn't really get to truly oppress decks off the back of Seal of Fire. It wasn't really the league for that, but against many decks, that will be a really oppressive loop. Like, the best thing you can do with Lurrus is to loop Seal of Fire, like an All of Modern, against some portion of the field. So that is an incentive to play Lurrus Jund that we didn't necessarily take full advantage of here. But Lurrus itself was okay. To me, the star of the show was Kroxa. I think Kroxa was awesome. Kroxa was kind of at the center of most of the really good things that we were doing. A lot of the Jund interaction was pretty good. Spyro was not enough to get us over the line in the final round. However, remember that a couple times in the league, when we were kind of like even-ish, we ripped a Spyro right off the top immediately after going Hellbent on the first draw step, and that was awesome. So maybe Spyro was actually an MVP here too. It is a little hard to say right here at the end of that drubbing in round 5 that tilts me. But anyway, that was our league. I hope you enjoyed it. I hope you will join me in campaigning to ban another thing from the Uro piles. It still should probably be Veil of Summer, but does Uro really belong in any format? I think that is an open question. So, again, you understand that when I'm going on my rampages, my verbal rampages here, I am smiling. It is still tongue-in-cheek. It is still fun, but at the same time, these are serious questions that I'm asking as well about what should be the format that we're working toward. Nevertheless, Modern is awesome right now. It's way, way better than when Astrolabe was legal. The only decks I really hate are the ones we just faced in round 5. So Modern is fun. Modern is sweet. This league was sweet. We could most likely improve this list by simply cutting Whispers of Emrakul and playing more conventionally powerful cards in their spot. You could also keep Whispers in the sideboard if you wanted a card to bring in against combo, control, and big mana. That kind of hits all three in ways that other Jund cards tend not to. So Whispers was a good one to give a spotlight to. Again, didn't really shine here that much, kind of performed as expected, but one to keep in mind. It does exist. It might be playable in certain metas. It might be like justifiable to take for a spin just as a fun of, or as I just said, it could be a sideboard card as well. So it was another really long grindy Jund league, guys, but we did get an okay result, and I think the potential to do much better was in great evidence. So we had our ups and our downs, and I hope you enjoyed being here for them. Thank you once again for watching. Thank you so much to Sal Malacola. He can be found at Ironworks MTG, where he plays more Jund than I do. He did, to be fair, take a bit of a break, but he's like all Jund all the time in Modern, with a few deviations maybe, but he's a clear Jund main, whereas I, these days, am all over the place. So if you want more Jund content, Sal is your guy. He does great stuff. Ironworks MTG. Link in the description below. Thank you to all Patreon supporters, especially our newest tireless tier member, Connor Smith. I think that's the name. Let me double check. Look at my phone. I got it. It's Connor Smith. Didn't even mispronounce that one, I hope. So anyway, guys, thanks for tuning in. I think next up on the channel is going to be Old School Rock, in the vein of the Old School Jund list that we did a little while ago, but sticking to 2 colors. So I will hope to see you for that one. Hope everybody out there has a wonderful day, and I'll talk to you soon.